So this is number 3 on my fledgling series on flipping PCs using the Facebook Marketplace. My 4th PC overall. The first 2 were sleeper builds. For this 3rd one, I'm going to go more conventional with a more modern case. This for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, sleeper builds are more niche. So for a larger customer base, I'll go with this case. However, there will be more competition out there. Reason number 2, I already have the case. You'll remember from the last video, I got this case as part of a bundle. I paid $75 for this case for this build, as well as a PSU and a motherboard that I used in the last build. This is how I'll break down the cost. $30 for the motherboard, $15 for the PSU, and that leaves $30 for this case. The case retails for about $60 brand new. It was missing the tempered glass side panel though. I did get an acrylic side panel made by a local plastics company for about $20. It was also missing the top mesh filter. I did, however, have leftover pieces from my first sleeper build. So I'm about $50 into this build for this case. Not a great value, but I'd say it's fair considering the great value I got from the other parts. I could just as easily shift the cost to the other build, but in the end, does it really matter? I picked up a pair of brand new Vengeance LPX 8GB sticks of RAM for $25, saving about $15 off of retail. I found a listing for a Kingston NV2 1TB M.2 SSD for $70. I got her to take $50. This was brand new in original packaging. Sorry, the listing is gone and I forgot to screen capture it. At the time, these went for about $75 brand new. As a bonus, I had a leftover M.2 heatsink from my first sleeper build. I also got a 1TB 2.5-inch SSD, a Samsung 860 QVO for $50 used. Same story on the listing capture. At the time, these retailed for about $70 brand new. A kid listed his old mining rig for $70. It came with an Asus Z390P motherboard, an i3-9000 CPU, a GT1030 GPU, a 500GB hard drive. I think it was a 5400 RPM mini laptop style hard drive. The chassis with fans and risers, as well as a Corsair 650 watt modular power supply. I took it at his asking price. This ended up being a great deal for me. I would ultimately sell the chassis, fans, and risers, and other items as well. I got $15 for the GPU. I sold the CPU for another $15 with the cooler. The RAM was a pair of mismatched DDR4 8GB sticks. I went to meet somebody to sell it for $20, but he no-showed. I ended up bringing it to work, and a coworker just saw it on the desk and asked if that was RAM, and I told him, yeah, I tried to sell it, but the guy didn't show up. He asked me what I wanted for it. I told him $20, and he paid me $20. And then I would sell the mining rig parts. I would sell the chassis, fans, and risers for $20. And I threw in the hard drive, 15 plus 15 plus 20 plus 20, $70. That means that the motherboard and the PSU would come in at a cost of $0 for me. I found a listing on the marketplace for a ViewSonic 22-inch 1080p 75Hz monitor pop-up. It was brand new for $20. The guy was selling them at his garage sale, and there were several of them in the box. The boxes were open and the HDMI cords were rated. I grabbed one. I wish I would have grabbed them all. Initially, I was just gonna use this for testing in my garage, but who am I kidding? It's not like I build a lot of computers. I had some e-waste in a box in my garage as well, so I rated that for an old keyboard and a mouse. It looks like I'm selling a complete setup now, minus speakers. These monitors list for about $75 brand new. Okay, I reconnected the power supply because I realized I need to replace the CPU in this thing because the i3-9100 is not going to cut it. But before I do that, I need to check the BIOS version and see if I need to upgrade. Let's see if this still powers up or if I made a boo-boo. Oh. Hold on. There we go. There it goes. Let's see if the monitor gets a signal. Fingers crossed. Hey! First time I've used this monitor. English. I don't care about any of this, but I'll set this up and then we'll check out the BIOS version. Oh, there it is. It is right there, 2820. Oddly enough, I think that might cover. I'm going to buy what am I buying? An i5 9600. So make a note of this BIOS version and I'll double check and make sure that's good enough. We still post. This is RAM, still good. There we go. Wow, XMP is already enabled. So it has their updated RAM. We have 16 in one of the RAM slots. I'm going to power this down. Hopefully the RAM's not plugged in all the way. It's only reading one of the slots. Let's power this down and fingers crossed. Okay, I had trouble booting up with both new sticks. I put in both old sticks, and before the A2 wasn't populated, but B2 was. So I'm going to power it down again and see if I can try some different things out and see if I can get this to work. Fingers crossed. Okay, try it again. I got both of the old sticks reading and reversed them, and so the slots seem to be okay. I'm going to try again to very carefully try the new sticks and put them in, seat them pretty carefully. Okay, second stick is in, fingers crossed, screen is on, show me 16 megs, okay. And we got it, 16 megs DDR4. Let's see, enable. And 3200. All right, I've got stuff to do today. I think tomorrow I will put in the SSD. Okay, I finally took the motherboard out of the mining rig. My new processor came in, and since I also need a new cooler because this tiny stock cooler isn't going to cut it, I got one of these from Marketplace for $20. Let's get that in. Oh, I also got this i5 9600 KF in the mail from eBay for less than one that was on Marketplace that sold before I could get a hold of it. And we have a CPU cooler on. Okay, fingers crossed that this actually works. There we go. Give me something on the monitor. Waiting. There we go. Hopefully it works this time. And power down and power it up. Okay. Come on. Nothing. Nothing. Call me nervous. Okay, so I don't know why I don't have the lights on in here, but the new processor, I could not get any video out of it, and there is no diagnostic code on this motherboard. I took it out, I put the old processor in, and it works just fine. And in fact, I'm updating the BIOS, but the BIOS is the correct BIOS. This is the minimum BIOS that's required for the new processor. So I'm reaching out to the seller online, and perhaps I got a dead CPU. Alright, we're back on its side. I took the spare GPU out, which, by the way, is this fella. This is a GeForce GTX 1050 Ti Aero. This will be going and eventually be going into my in-laws Optiplex. But we're going to put in the NVMe. This motherboard did not have a standoff, but I had a spare standoff I put right here. And here is on my first marketplace build, which was a sleeper. I got a set of heat sinks. So I have the spare one. It's red. It's not going to match, but I figure it's better to have it than not to have it. And here is the SSD I'm going to put in. So I'm going to put that in, stand this up, install Windows, everything's good. I will take the motherboard back out, and you see I don't have a IO shield. So I got one of these that I'm going to custom cut and put in. Baby steps. SSD is installed. I have a Windows installation media right here, and we are on the Windows install screen. Fingers crossed I get this to recognize that and see what kind of hissy fits it throws. No problems, we are installing. And we have this thing put together for now. How's that? I think I'm going to put a 140 millimeter RGB fan up here up top. And that is the graphics card I have in here for now. I still need to wait and sell this bad boy before I get the money to buy a GPU for this. See what I can get for about 120 or 150. Back here, there's the rear I/O plate. It looks okay. better than nothing, I guess. It took a painfully long time to cut those holes out. And how's the mess back here on the back? I'm not gonna bother putting this back panel on until I get the fan installed and the new GPU, and then I'll work on trying to manage this rat's nest. But the front looks alright. So the search was on for a GPU in the marketplace. First up, a GTX 1650X, 4 gigs for $150. No seller response. In fact, 9 weeks later, and it's still available. Next, a 1660 Super for $150. I offered $120, no response. Still available. A 1660 Ti for $150, again I offer $120, again no response, and again it's still available. A 2060 Super listed at $200, I offered $120, no response, still available. An RTX 2060 listed for $110, he responded, but upon further discussion, it was a Dell brand and it had one ugly PCB that would not look good in the case. RTX 5600 XT listed for $125. He accepted $100 and we agreed to meet the next morning, but he ended up selling it that night to somebody else. I got tired of all this and I went to eBay. I ended up spending more than I planned, but this 5700 XT Red Devil looked really good, and I think it has solid reviews. Man, that looks pretty. This young man, a Navy vet, offered me $400 cash and an Xbox One S. I took the deal. He came over the next morning and test drove the PC while I made sure the Xbox turned on. Did I turn a profit? Counting the monitor, the computer cost me $400. I see Marketplace flooded with PCs that don't have specs nearly as good, listing for the same price or more. I basically spent my time and energy for an Xbox One. That's fine as long as you look at this as a hobby. You just have to spot amazing deals for everything and just get lucky to make money doing this. And probably market better. Marketplace cannot be the only outlet you have to make PCs.